Hi guys, if you have difficulty staying on track with your healthy diet during the holiday season, this video from a former binge eater might help you. I feared the holiday season when I suffered from binge eating because it was impossible to make it through without binging. I planned not to overeat during the holidays, but it was impossible. The reason was that I restricted my food intake and trying to eat moderate amounts of chocolate didn't work out. But because everybody was overeating, I made excuses like this is only once a year and everybody's overeating to some degree on unhealthy foods, so whatever. The problem was not to indulge for a couple of days on unhealthy foods. The problem was to go back on track on a healthy routine. Let's be honest, we can talk about how binges are a burden, but let's talk about the start of the binge. That's the initial reason why people start to binge. The first few bites where you are not stuffed. The feeling is amazing and your nervous system knows that. The first bites of a piece of chocolate are always the best, but the problem is that only one bite can act as a cascade for months of binge eating episodes. I have good news for you, and I'm happy to share with you my tips to manage the holiday season without binging or indulging in unhealthy foods. Some of these tips may surprise you. Tip number 1. Eat a lot of healthy foods during the day. Try not to save calories for the party. The more you eat healthy food, the less you will have room left for unhealthy food. Many binge eaters assume the following. Why should they waste their calories with healthy food when they binge anyways? Or they try to save calories because they know that the food they will eat at the party is high in calories and therefore it's wise to save the calories earlier in the day. This is a bad approach. When you fuel yourself with healthy foods in the first place that are lower in calorie density, you calm your nervous system to a degree even though it's tempted by the pleasure trap foods in front of you. In total, you will get less calories at the end of the day by eating healthy things first, even if you indulge in some unhealthy foods. Tip number 2. Make a big fruit salad or a big plate of vegetables with some homemade hummus or something healthy you really enjoy. Or bring a big basket of fruit with you. At least if you feel tempted, you can eat as much fruit as you want. By bringing something healthy with you, you make sure you have a healthy option. I was invited to many parties in my life, and often the healthiest thing I could find was a potato chip. That's bad when you are hungry. The potato chip will not survive it. Tip number 3. Ask yourself, what is the purpose of the feast? Rationally, you know that the feast is about meeting other people, traditions, etc. Try to think why you really celebrate a specific holiday. Let's take Thanksgiving. Many people talk about recipes and food but ignore why they celebrate on that given day. What is the feast all about? What are you celebrating on that day? Answer this truly to yourself and make this the reason for the feast and not the food. I hope your answer is not you celebrate because this is the only time of the year you can have junk food. I made a video on the social and cultural aspects of food that I linked down below. It may help you to understand the social and cultural dynamics around food. Tip number 4. Play games with your family and the other guests. Actually, this technique is also helpful to quiet down people's BS talks. They are so concentrated on winning the game that they have difficulties complaining about their lives simultaneously. This is just an extra add-on for you, but the most important one is that playing games help to get you busy instead of keeping you busy with food. Your mind and hands are distracted and you don't sit in front of the food all the time. When I notice that party people are only sitting in front of the dining table, I suggest playing a game or going out for a walk. Do an activity where everybody gets distracted. The longer you sit in front of the dining table, the higher are the chances that the cake will start to speak to you. Tip number 5. During the holiday season, your meal prepping should be paid more attention to it as usual. Don't make excuses that everybody else is taking it easy. Starting the new year without indulging in junk food or binging on it will make you so proud that your internal audience will gift you with a big bag of pride signals. And this is one of the best gifts you can make to yourself at the end of the year. You will start the new year with a good attitude. You already succeeded before the year even started. Tip number 6. Stop losing weight during the holiday season when you visit a lot of parties. You definitely can have the goal to lose weight during the season when you don't have an issue with all the parties or when you don't visit a lot. But when you do and the food there is a problem for you, your goal is to make the best to survive the season without hurting you in the meantime. I point this out because when people are in weight loss mode, some of them try to do extra good and have some restrictive tendencies, and when you watched my other videos on binge eating, you know any form of restriction is the real reason why people binge. So make it a priority to survive the season by eating healthy foods and maybe more than you typically would. This is more important right now than losing weight. In this season, you are in weight maintenance mode, and in my personal view, this is already a big success when you just maintain your weight. So pausing with the goal to lose weight for a couple of weeks is more important right now than the weight loss. Because people who indulge in junk food have a tough time going back on track. We don't want to trigger a cascade of binge eating phases. Tip number 7. If someone gives you unhealthy food, don't feel bad donating it or even throwing it away or whatever. Just don't let it in your house. We naturally feel bad throwing food away because most humans spend their life in a famine. Therefore, it is deeply rooted in us to keep and hoard food. But don't forget that nowadays we face the complete opposite. The majority of the food people consume in the Western world makes us sick. So I guess throwing food away that makes people sick and unhappy is not a bad deal. Especially people pleasers feel bad doing so. Keep in mind that a real giver gives away the responsibility of the thing they gifted. With that, he permits you to do with it whatever you want. Now it's in your hand and you decide what happens to it. To avoid such situations in the first place, let people know what you would be happy about in the first place. Therefore, you don't get in trouble to decide what to do with the unhealthy food you were gifted. Make suggestions like you would be happy about a fruit basket or something that has nothing to do with food at all. This is even better. I will never forget how Dr. Lyle once argued with a client of his. The client was gifted some candy and he just said, "Throw it away in the trash because it's free cocaine." Think about that for a second. Tip number 8. If you binge once on a specific day, don't panic. Eat the next day your healthy food without restriction as if nothing happened. This doesn't mean you will binge through the entire holiday season. Stop this all or nothing mentality. A big goal is achieved by small bits and pieces. Every day you make it through without a binge is a big win. If you lose once but win on the other 5 days, does this mean everything was a waste? Don't let your primal brain rule the game. Rule the game instead by doing all the right things that are necessary for you to decrease all possibilities for a binge or indulging in junk food. Tip number 9. Understand your survival instinct. All these tips will not help when you don't make it a priority to eat a lot of healthy food before the feast. It sounds so contrary to what is logic. You meet to eat, so why should you come satisfied to a feast where it's all about the food? Your survival instincts try to make sure to keep your life now because there is only now. Your survival instinct don't make necessary decisions to keep you healthy in the future. That's the difference between keeping you alive now or keeping you healthy in the future. This is a difference. You have a mind that can make wise decisions against your instincts. In many areas of your life, it is wise to follow your instinct. But due to the modern world, it is as if we put a piece of wood in the wheel, aka in the pleasure centers of our brain. These pieces are what we call supernormal stimuli, like processed food, porn, social media, gambling, etc. Switch on your brain and plan the holiday season by having prepared food around you all the time. If you are one of those people who enjoy cooking and trying new recipes, then do that with healthy ones. Surprise your family by offering healthy options. The problem with food is that it is a tolerated drug in the modern world. If someone gifted you cocaine, nobody would complain about you throwing it away. Your health is more important than enjoying junk food. You enjoy your health and well-fitting clothes more than 5 minutes of pleasure coming from junk food. And I know that you know that this is true. That's why you're watching this video. In the end, your mind runs a cost-benefit analysis in that given moment when you sit in front of the food. I can give you thousands of reasons why eating healthy foods instead of unhealthy ones are a win rather than a loss. But what helps your mind is gathering new information, and maybe some of this information I offered you today will help shift your cost-benefit analysis. My last and 10th tip for you is the following. It doesn't matter how well informed you are. The priority is to eat as much healthy food in the first place, as I already mentioned before, and become really good at meal prepping. Buy a good set of Tupperware. Choose a day of the week where you do a big grocery shopping and followed by meal prepping. The goal is that if you open the fridge, it is full of pre-cooked starches, fruit, and steamed and fresh veggies. I know, it is so basic, but I promise you that my most successful clients are those who take it really seriously with meal prepping. If you don't have time to do it by yourself, hire a student or someone who can do that for you if you can afford it. Becoming free from binge eating is one of the best things in life and one of the best things you can give yourself this year. It is priceless compared to eating junk food at a feast. I don't even waste one single thought of debating with myself if I should eat unhealthy food or not. I'm so endlessly grateful to have access to naturally healthy foods all the time and for being able to eat them freely as much as I want. It took me 15 years to reach this state. Before I recovered from binging, I was self-pity why others could have junk food without binging or gaining weight. Now I see it from a completely different angle. Binge eating was the reason I discovered a whole food plant-based diet. But in looking deeper, many people I was surrounded with could not manage those foods moderately either. They were overweight, but just nobody was talking about it. Because binge eaters binge anonymously, right? They are good in hiding it. After switching my perspective, I realized how blessed I was that binge eating forced me to eat the healthiest foods on the planet. So I guess it is not a bad deal in order to recover, to become slim and healthy, right? You only have now. You don't have the past or the future. So it doesn't matter for how many decades you binge or have difficulties. You can recover as anybody else does. And these are excellent news. I will leave you with the following question. What is now a good action step for you to reach the goal you truly desire? Stop wishing and start doing. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video. Bye bye.